Trying to squat in the golf swing can make you worse. Let me explain. So when golfers try and squat like the Sam sort of Snead move, what tends to happen is they do it the wrong way. And what I mean by that is, when they try and put a squat in there, let's call it manipulated, the knees will tend to go towards the golf ball and the spine will tend to work away from the golf ball. So they virtually create a lower early extension. So early extension is obviously this action. When players try and squat purposefully, they tend to do this kind of action. And the momentum, the flow, doesn't go through the golf ball enough. We need to make sure we are flowing and hitting through the golf ball and moving our low point, let's call it laterally, forward, to ensure we get that beautiful sweet contact. So squatting, when done the right way, or using the ground the right way, let's call it that, is great. Doing it the wrong way is disastrous. What I'd like you to think about is when you kind of create this kind of squat move, it happens more with the hands and rib cage, and the knees don't really flex massively more. So in the backswing, the trail leg will straighten a little bit and it'll return to that original kind of flex position. But don't let it keep going towards the golf ball. It'll angle over more so and work more towards the lead leg. Now, could you increase the gap between the knees and that initial part of the downswing? Yes, as the lead knee works away, but the trail leg certainly is not going to want to feel like it goes this way. It's certainly a feeling of both knees, both quads, and the pelvis going towards target. And certainly a lowering action is good. So the hands position here wants to return to a position that is lower than that in delivery, ideally. All great players do that. And in achieving that, we're going to increase the kind of flexion in our body, which is kind of like a squat. When you're squatting, a lot of people will kind of struggle with the balance and the knees will go forward and the spine gets kind of very stiff and immobile. What we want to really feel is, can we get those hands and ribcage low whilst shifting across and then pushing up after we've shifted low. So squatting the right way, yeah, great move. But let's not try and squat the wrong way. So what I want you to do is take a rod and put it parallel to your foot alignment and give yourself about 1.5 hands away from your leg. You can probably go within 1 hand from your leg. So you could go a little tighter than this if you want to. Make some practice swings and make sure your trail knee doesn't crash into this rod. Make sure that gap stays pretty close to where it is at the original setup. Also, we can use this rod, if you notice it's just below where my hands are, to feel that our hands go to touch that rod in order to get us to feel like we're going down the right way. So that way we can feel like we're using the ground, we're getting some, let's call it lowering and squatting without pushing the knees towards target. Again, if you go and throw a ball and your knees go towards the golf ball, the only way you can get that ball onto target is by flipping or flapping your wrists and creating this kind of release pattern. So we want very much to be rotating and trying to work on that circle, which is where this rod comes in. So trying to go lower, but also not letting the body go towards the golf ball too much. A tiny bit you can get away with for sure, and the pressure will definitely go towards the lead toe initially, and then lead heel secondary. There will be a little bit of force going in that kind of, let's call it diagonal direction. But we certainly wouldn't want to see your knees crashing into this, or quads crashing into this rod. So for practice swings, this is great. Gives us the feels, space, and get the hands low. And then when we go and hit the golf ball, we can leave the rod there. And again, make sure our knee doesn't hit it or quad doesn't hit it, but also try and get as low with it as well. That would be a great feel for me. So take your setup. And really feel like you overdo that a little bit. And that just felt, I really turned on a really nice circle. Let's try and show you the bad example. That felt so unnatural and not what I'd want you to do. We definitely want to feel that our body is tilting and turning on a circle. And yes, we're getting as low as we can, to use that ground and get the ground to push us back in a more natural sense to achieve consistent golf shots and correct contact. Don't fall in the trap of trying to squat and getting the knees to go down and go forward in the downswing, because that is a disaster move and it won't be good for your body either. So have a go at getting the correct squat in your game to play better golf.